Welcome back to Better Than Brunch. Today is a very special episode, but not in the after school special kind of way. We are celebrating the release of Everybody Shines, edited by our own Cass Newbould, and we have a slew of special guests with us. But first, we will introduce our Better Than Brunch regulars. I'm Denise Williams, she, her pronouns.
I'm Charish.
I'm McCoy, she, her.
I'm Cass Newbould, she, her.
And before we introduce our guests, as we always do, we have an opening song. I'll turn it over to the songstress.
So I had to incorporate things in order to make this work, and you know how my theme songs don't work. In the key of REM, shiny, happy writers talking. 16 contributors in one anthology. And I can't finish that verse, but shiny, happy writers talking. Okay.
That might be your best one yet.
Well done, well done.
Hey, awesome. So what I'm going to do is have all of our special guests who have contributed to Everybody Shines go ahead and introduce themselves. Linda, can we start with you?
Sure. Hi, I'm Linda Camacho. I wrote the story Unpleasant Surprises. And this is a different angle for me because I'm a literary agent, so I'm usually behind the scenes of all of this. So this is kind of a fun endeavor, but yeah, I'm so happy to be here.
Catherine?
I'm Catherine Adel West. I wrote the story Orion Star in the wonderful, lovely book Everybody Shines. Actually, I'm a literary fiction adult writer. This is my first time writing YA, so very, very happy to be introduced in this particular fashion. I can't wait to get started with y'all.
All right, Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris Barron. I wrote the story Food is Love, and I'm usually in the middle grade world, so it's really fun to be part of Everybody Shines.
And last but not least, Sheena.
Hello, I'm Sheena Boekweg, and I have the short story Waitlist, which is a YA sci-fi. And I'm also the author of The Sisterhood of Secret Ambitions and Glitch Kingdom, which are both out with Bible Infant.
Nice. Thank you, guys.
Happy belated release day to you, Sheena. Your book came out last week.
For this book right here.
Ooh, can I see that again? Let me see that again. Yep. I was looking over. Oh, the cover is gorgeous.
Isn't she pretty? Macmillan did an amazing job.
I love that.
Beautiful.
Well, Cass, can you tell us about the anthology? You know, give us the themes and what's happening.
I can. So Everybody Shines, as you can read right on here, it says 16 stories about living fabulously fat. And I think that our story really just covers people going through regular life and finding their shine. Every single story is completely different in that instance. We've got genres spanning pretty much everything, I think, within, and it really, we've got 16 stories where the main characters are fat and they're teenagers and they are just living their lives. And the thing that I like to say the most about this is none of them change themselves to fit the narrative. They all change the narrative to fit each character, to fit their story. So that's what I absolutely love about it.
Well, we might need to go around and just like everybody, could you give like a short summary of what your story is actually about, like within the anthology? Linda, could we start with you?
Sure. So in Unpleasant Surprises, it's YA contemporary realistic fiction about two Latinx girls who are both fat. They've been best friends their entire lives, and that's just how they've, always seen each other. And then, of course, comes the summer before they start high school, and they're unfortunately separated. One has to spend time, visiting her family out of the country. But then when one comes back, one has actually lost weight. And so how does that affect their dynamic? How does that affect their friendship on top of all of the drama of, starting high school?
Oh, jeez. Okay, that sounds really compelling.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Catherine.
So Orion's Star is about a 16-year-old girl named Orion who dreams of being like a Hollywood film director. And she has to deal with, her family's idea of what she thinks, what they think she should do, and kind of finding her own way and her own freedom, and the relationships you have with your parents and the mistakes they make, and trying to find forgiveness in that, while at the same time trying to pursue a dream that the world tells you is impossible because of how you look, and not just because you're fat, because you're Black too. So it was really fun to try to explore all of those different issues.
Okay, I'm picking up on a lot of intersectionality already between the two of your stories. Chris, could you tell us more about your story?
Yeah, I love what Cass said about, changing the narrative in that way. Because this sounds like a plug, but like, this is my book coming out, this middle grade book, Magical and Perfect. And then This Is All of Me, which was my debut novel. And it's particularly in All of Me, it was all about like that moment where you change the narrative. So this story, Food is Love, is about this kid named Josh, who is an aspiring chef. But he spends almost every day with his grandmother who's losing her memory. And, she's constantly asking him the same questions over and over again. And he struggles because she is the same person who taught him how to love food and to cook, but also tells him he needs to be on a diet all the time. And with her memory fading, those barbs like increase, in velocity and becomes really repetitive. And it kind of comes to a head when he's working in his restaurant. And so it helps him to have that moment of changing the narrative, I think, in the story, at least the start of that. So.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. Yeah, like Denise said, please, if you've got other books that you want to talk about, please let us know. Drop them in. Yay. And Sheena, could you wrap us up with the summaries?
Yeah. So I wrote a short story called Weightless, which is a YA sci-fi about a girl named Sarka. And she's on a mission with her crew and their spaceship to save their planet from some really bad like pollution. And it all kind of came from an idea that I heard when I was watching Discovery Channel. Actually, they mentioned that it takes $1 million to send a pound of weight into space. And I immediately thought, like, that's all weight. That could be steel, it could be like bolts, anything like that. But I just immediately thought about how that would affect me if I was an astronaut. And then our girl Saka, she is a math genius. And so it's her brain that they're really needed to get into space. But she spends so much of her thought process and her energy thinking about her weight and thinking about calories and all of those things. And as the course of the story goes, she really receives that release that comes when you kind of let that down. You put that down. And so you don't have to worry quite so much about all of the self-hate, and then how she can really grow and learn and save people without all of that energy stealing from her.
Oh, that sounds lovely. Just figuratively and literally weightless, so she can just do her job.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, that sounds wonderful. Denise, let me hand it over to you.
Yeah, well, I know all of us have our copies on order, so we'll be checking the mailbox after Tuesday to get those in. So excited to read all these stories. We're going to shift gears a little bit from talking directly about this book to getting to know you all. And we think we're funny, so we hope you all think that of yourselves too. So we're going to do a lightning round. Charish and I have brainstormed some questions to take us back to our teens, to take us into talking about great fat rap and, maybe just some other randomness that comes about. So we'll have everybody answer these questions fairly briefly. If we hold up the hook, that means you've been talking too long and we'll just pull you off stage or mute you. But we're excited to hear from everybody. So as we start and throw back to our teens, I'd like to hear from everybody. What was your favorite year of being a teenager? You don't have to tell us the calendar year, but what age was your favorite in your teens?
I'll go first because I know without even thinking about it. 17. 17 was my year. It was my year. It was the year that I really said screw school and decided skipping all the time and going dancing 5 nights a week, driving down to South Beach, Miami and Fort Lauderdale and getting way too involved in the rave scene, but it saved my life. It absolutely saved my life. I wasn't going anywhere with my high school anyway. I had no opportunity to go to college, and this was where I found myself on the dance floor. And I went from being so self-conscious about my body to absolutely thinking that I was the top shit. I would walk into a club with my head held high, my shoulders back, and I just owned myself. And I have never had that kind of self-confidence ever again. But at 17, I was everything. And I loved it. So yeah, that was it for me.
You guys
Mine was
shout
probably
out.
17 too. So, okay, if I go in, sorry. Senior year in high school, I was always a actor, not quite so much as a singer, but I tried out for the school musical and I actually got the lead. And it was funny because a lot of the student director told a lot of people that they didn't think I was sexy enough to play the part, but I proved them wrong.
Yes.
For me, it was 16. As Taj may tell you, confidence has never been my problem. So 16 was just really the year where I kind of got to express myself a lot more artistically. And I too starred in our high school version of a chorus line. I played B.B. Benzenheimer. I will never forget that. I had to learn how to do a high kick. I am extremely flexible. And I ended up having a nice little cute romance with this guy named Alicio. So that was just a great year. And it was a great year academically because I was a huge nerd. So it was win-win for me.
Yes. This is video, so do you want to demonstrate the high kick? You can think about it.
Girl. Remember, we weren't gonna talk about years. This was in 96. We are in 2021, excuse me. Girl, if I try to high kick now, I'll be like, y'all pray for me in this new hip.
Oh, no.
But I did start doing these little yoga things, so I'm getting my flexibility back.
So next time next year.
That's the goal.
I think mine, everything, so many memories are flooding for every year, but this one keeps popping up I actually was 13. Does that count? 13. So so often a really bad thing happened to my family and I actually had to live with friends. And I remember I got bar mitzvahed and it was this very sacred moment that actually ended up kind of being difficult and unlike any other bar mitzvah. But because of what happened, I lived with my friends in Berkeley. And as I finished 8th grade, and it felt like this moment I needed to become super independent. I just remember taking the bus forever, hanging out with my friends, going to movies. I felt so independent and I didn't even think about my body. I just thought about living. And, it was also equally tragic, but also that moment of independence really sticks out for me.
Yeah, I would say for me, that kind of reminds me of when I was 16, that was the first time I'd ever traveled out of the country. And I had turned down a Sweet 16 party. that my parents were so sad because they wanted it more than I did, I think. But I, instead I went with my school to France and England, and it just opened my eyes. And yeah, I would say that was like one of the first times that I didn't feel self-conscious about myself. Like you're just in awe and doing all of these new things and growing up just a little bit there. So yeah, I think that was a special time for me.
Heck yeah. I just want to give a quick PSA to any teens that are watching. I do not highly suggest that you skip school. And also, you don't have the ability that we did pre-emails when like all you'd get is a phone call home on your answering machine. And if you made it home before your parents, you were golden. You guys are watched everywhere. So don't skip school. Do not follow my path.
Stay in school. You heard that from
Don't
Better
be
Than
a fool.
Brunch.
Stay in.
Hear that, my kids? Okay.
That's right.
Don't be cool, stay in school.
Raj, you have a teenagery moment or your best year?
I'd say mine was probably 18. I think at 18, I was really kind of in my moment and was probably my most confident self. In all of my years, that was probably the one year where that was the case. And it was, the culmination of the end of high school and all of the different events that take place there, and then going off to college and just being independent for the first time. I think I just kind of really embraced that year more so than any other. And all of these memories are like flooding back to me right now, but that's definitely the one that sticks out to me.
Yeah, nice. Well, I guess I will ask the next lightning round question. Do you guys remember your favorite TV shows as a teenager? What were you like racing home to watch or staying up to watch?
For me, Living Single, Martin, because Martin was hilarious, and Living Color. I think, oh, well, Quantum Leap, that was like way back in the day, but
One of
mainly
these
like,
things is not like the other.
okay, so what you're not going to do is talk about me and how I love Scott Bakula. That's what we're not going to do today. We're not going to do this one.
I was not judging.
I just needed you to know.
But what I really
told you
want
I
is a Quantum Leap mashup of all those 90s shows. Like,
Da, 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 da. That was my show.
I'm just kidding. I'm not judging anybody. Please give me your teenage shows.
I love Buffy. I was really a big fan of Buffy. Roswell too. I feel like a lot of it was very genre based. I really loved anything super escapist. So stuff like that. I swooned over the romances in it. So that was a really big one. Yeah.
I definitely watched In Living Color. That was something that we all sat around, the whole family sat around to watch. Like that was the show.
Like Sunday evenings, I remember that.
Yeah. America's Funniest Home Videos was another one, I think. Like when it first came out, it just was so like, oh, MTV all the time and whatever. But that was really back. Maybe you had TRL, but that was like the only like show. Real World, I guess, was also a like super big thing back then. Cartoons.
So many cartoons.
Gummy Bears. Oh, Gummy Bears. Okay, yeah, that's my.
I watched Star Trek, like any Star Trek thing. Next Generation. I was super into those. Yes.
I love Voyager. Yeah, Janeway all day. And I watched Gilmore Girls. I'm the exact same age as Rory Gilmore. And Jess Mariano was a very important person to me personally for reasons I don't need to go into. Anyway, and I also watched a lot of Buffy or Sliders. Do you guys remember the show Sliders? I love that.
Was it time traveling?
Yeah.
Wasn't as good as Quantum Leap though.
No, it wasn't.
All right, Kathy.
Ah.
I watched Friends a lot when I was a kid. Like I didn't realize that it was so devoid of diversity as a child. But that's definitely something I watched. And Buffy and Living Color, Living Single, Different Worlds, all of that was such a huge thing back then. But definitely Star Trek. My dad is a big Trekkie, and so in the evenings that was something that he and I did together. And we never got to the part where we like spoke Klingon or anything, but we thought we were pretty cool.
You still have time.
I don't know. That one seems a little difficult.
Guttural language.
I vote try it. You don't have anything going on. It's low key time for you right now. So, okay. So everybody, if you can go back as far as you can, what is the first book you remember being your favorite book?
Hooper Humperdinck, Dr. Seuss. I'm a really big fan of alliteration, and I think it started there, and also the feeling of like I wasn't always a popular kid, especially in elementary school. Like they say high school was vicious, elementary school was like
Elementary
super
school
vicious. But that's how I learned how to get a lot of my confidence, because if nobody gonna give it to you, you're gonna give it to yourself, right? But Hooper Humperdinck it just really hit home, because like nobody liked Hooper Humperdinck, and they wouldn't invite him to this party, and they'd be like, not, I'll invite Alice and Annie and Alyssa, and but Hooper Humperdinck, not him, So I really fell for Hooper Humperdinck, and I understood him a lot. And in my debut novel, Saving Ruby King, if you pay attention to certain portions of paragraphs, there's like alliteration there, like I can't get away from it. And Hooper Humperdinck played a huge role in that. I'm so not playing with you, really.
I think for me, one of my favorites was R.L. Stine's The First Evil. And it was basically possessed cheerleaders. Cheerleaders, and there was like, I remember vaguely there was like a demon killing people off. It was very gruesome, and I loved it. That was very strange, but I still have my copy of R.L. Stine, that book. And I remember when I was working at Random House, he came to visit, and I got him to sign it. And he was like, "Oh my God, is that when I killed the cheerleader in the bathroom?" I'm like, "Yes." So he remembered that whole scene. I was very impressed, given how much he writes. He remembered the gruesomeness of his book.
Was that Fear Street?
It was part of the it was like part of the Fear Street like compendium, because he had like 1 billion books in it. And that was kind of one of the first of them. Yeah.
Reading those was the first time I wanted to be a writer, because I was like, I can think of creative ways to kill people off.
Right?
I can totally deal with that. Switch to romance.
Yeah.
I love sorry.
Oh, no, you go, Sheena.
Okay, yeah. I love the So You Want to Be a Wizard series by Diane Duane. Or I probably said that wrong, but I just love Nina and Kit. They were just ridiculously cool. I don't know if you know the magic system at all, but there's like a speech that you have to say, and if you do it, then you'll get magic. And as like a 14-year-old, I absolutely said it out loud a couple of times, just in case it didn't work.
My favorite all-time book as a kid, Max just found this and ordered it for me. It used to be called like Caramella Rosa or something, but the American version is Candy Pink. And I gotta find the oh, what's my favorite illustration in this thing? Like, it's just, the illustration is so pretty, and the entire book is about this little girl elephant whose parents make her eat these flowers, anemones and peonies, because all girl elephants are pink. And then she's like, fuck you guys. And she decides to take off her bib and like run away because she sees all the boys having fun playing in the water and not having to wear stupid bibs. And she's like, I'm so jealous. And her dad's a dick. He's like, fuck you, you have to wear these things. And she's like, you're not nice, Dad. And then she rebels. And then she goes back for the rest of the girls, because then she's like, I'm going to live my life as I want. And like, she's like, but I can't forget you ladies, because girl power. And then they all get naked and just become elephants, and they all turn gray because there's no gender roles in elephants. And so like, this was like the first gender reaffirming book, like that made it that you could be, you could be a tomboy, you could be a girly girl, like it didn't matter, like just live your life and have fun. So like, this book really mattered to me. And then for some stupid reason, all the Black Stallion books, because even though I weighed more than a jockey by the time I was in kindergarten, I really wanted to be a jockey and race horses. So I lived vicariously through those books.
You read me bedtime stories if you do it just like that.
That book sounds amazing. I need to
It
see
really
that.
does, but I need Cass to be like, no, fuck you, Dad. I'm gonna do what I want. And I'm like, I didn't get to that till I was about 21. Like, I mean, she's doing it at 5.
All
Good
the
for
subplots
her.
are there. She
I
brings
know, right?
it
I was like, I never got, my mom read me bedtime stories. They didn't sound like that.
That's how I felt about Where the Wild Things Are. I always felt like I was living the subplot of that book when it was being read to me, or I read it. Like, here's this kid who's like, screw you, I'm leaving. And then he goes and there's monsters and like, we want to be afraid, but we're not, because Max is like, no, I'm not afraid of you either. I'm going to eat you all up. The psychology of that like embedded into my soul, and I think empowered me and also scared me, and kind of like life, all times. And then of course his room turning to a forest and all that was just that, like the portal that I wanted to live in. But I have to say, and I do feel like I'm betraying Tolkien by not talking about him, but I'm putting him over here for a second, because Bridge of Terabithia was really important to me, because I always had friends who were girls, and I always got made fun of for that at that age. And that was like the first book I read where they were best friends and they demonstrated love that wasn't like jacked up. It was like really friendship love. And I was like, oh, it's okay to not only have friendship like this, but also to have like real feelings and express them. So I always think about that book too.
I love that book. That's definitely one of my favorites. But I would say the series that I remember was one of the first that I read, and read every single one I could get my hands on, was the Boxcar Children. And part of it was I just wanted to run away. So I was like, fuck you guys, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go live in a tiny house. But basically like it was just, I was like, okay, well, these are my brothers and sisters now, and Violet likes onions, and like we're just gonna sit here and hang out together in this little boxcar. But it was my way to escape and to just kind of be out in the world without actually having left the home. And I remember that as standing out for me. And I can imagine that still being an escape for a lot of kids.
Look at all us latchkey kids.
I know, seriously. Come through, latchkey.
Laughing and crying. Oh gosh. No, those are great. I definitely yeah. The books that we remember as kids, I think, are definitely playing up some influence as writers today, like who we are today. Okay, another lightning round question for all of you. And I'm kind of stealing this from Cass's podcast, so sorry. But what is a dream film that you would like to be, what would you like to be made with Fat Rap, but like you know, a dream film idea of yours, and it could be any genre or plot.
For me, the one that came to mind immediately was Phantom of the Opera. I would love to see a fat Christine. And I know there was a show years ago that Rebel Wilson, and I always ruin the name of it. She did this comedy show. It was a sitcom. It didn't last very long. But at the end of one of the episodes, she kind of put this interstitial at the end, and she played a fat Christine. She was singing, I'm like, oh my God, if I could see a fat Christine, fat Phantom, everyone, I'd be into it. I love that show already, but I'd really be extra into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I want a fat heist story. All like an all girl group of fat girls who like steal something super important and nobody thinks it's them because they're fat. And you know, like they're the least likely of the people who are, but they're like just badasses who can break into stuff and like just totally, yeah, that would be awesome.
Nice.
With multiple, not just one fat main character, but multiple. Yeah.
I love it.
Mine was Mean Girls. When I was on Cass's show for the first time, I was like, you know, just give me fat Mean Girls. I want them to be the most popular, wanted girls in all of school. And to have that moment where, you know, they're just the shit and everybody wants to be like them. Everybody wants to be a part of their group. Everyone wants to make fetch happen, even though, you know, and like, I want that. I want to see those moments where the tables turn and it's like, you know what, like we're the badasses. We are what we are. You want to be us and you can't. And I just love that for us.
So I have strong feelings about bully characters or villains that are fat, because I feel like a lot of times that's just actually fat hate persuading that. But I would love to write a fat darkling like character who is so seductive and so cool and hot as heck and fat as heck. So I just think it would be so fun.
Okay.
One of my favorite movies was Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Still is. So I want to see a fat Ferris, a fat Black female Ferris.
Oh.
Plus, I would get to ride in a Ferrari. Like,
Yes.
So I like that you just went from wanting to see this to wanting to be.
yeah,
Ferris, and I love that. Like, manifest it, put it into the world.
yeah, girl, I just got to learn how to drive a stick shift. I know how to drive a different stick, but like, I mean, like an actual in a car.
You can do that in a car too, but
Hello, double duty. Okay.
I asked Cass, do we need to keep this more PG since, you know, we're talking about a YA book? And she said no. So now we get skip school, go party, stick shift. Anyway.
Chris, follow up.
How do I follow up? Can we just remake Say Anything? I think that would be so cool to have just a different look of characters in that great movie, you know, since it's in everything now. And also while we're at it, can we just reboot Iron Man? You know, and have this character be fat represented just a whole different way of being a superhero.
Okay.
And I'll star in that. That's cool.
I would give my right arm for a whole bunch of fat superheroes in some kind. There's so many out there and we still don't have like awesome fat rep. That's needs to be changed big time.
No, I agree. What was the movie that just came out recently with Melissa McCarthy and
so
Thunder
good.
Force.
It was so cute.
Force. Oh yeah, no, I loved it. I loved Octavia Spencer and Melissa McCarthy. Yeah.
It was so
Force. My mom and I like looked at it. It was great.
Well, we had a few other questions, including asking you to retell your worst fashion choices from your teens, but for time, we will save you that moment. You can just tell us later. But what we want to close our lightning round with is for folks to briefly share When was the last moment you felt you shined?
This week, because my book's coming out. And that's making me shine every day. And also Z Cavaricci's worst fucking fashion ever. with the twist ankle, tight ankle. Oh.
All right, so we'll combine the answers if you.
Yeah, I'll say when my book came out this last week, a reader actually messaged to say how much she loved it, that she got it and read it that night and messaged it, and it just like I can't wait to read your next books. And I'm just like, okay, then maybe I won't quit. Let's keep going.
That's feeling.
And in high school, I wore a whale raincoat everywhere I went. Like it was blue and it had whales on the inside fabric, little red whales, and it was adorable. But apparently it wasn't cool. I still think it's cute though.
I bet you could bring it back though.
Yeah, I bet it'd be cooler now.
I can say last week I had this like, okay, you know how most of author life is like self-doubt and critical duress. Last week was a shining moment. One day, so I got this, which was in the mail. And then the next day, a box of these came, because this comes out June 15th. And I did this, you know, those videos with my daughters, like, and my son filming. And then the paperback of this came the next day. So it was like this magical time and space. So very shiny. And I'm trying to like hold it very close. So it's even fun to talk about it. So thank you.
Yay.
I think for me it was not that there's not been shining moments since last year, but I think when I was invited to be part of the anthology, for sure. I think that was, I think, I have my MFA in children's writing, and I kind of put writing aside. I love to watch a lot of TV. So it's nice to kind of reclaim that and say, oh, wow, I have something that's out in the world. And part of something that I think is just so important to be out there.
You do.
I think for me, it was Friday when I handed in my manuscript for book 2, my prequel from Saving Ruby King, which is my debut. And Taj would tell you it was a little bit of a fight because I had to outline this book, and I'm not a fan of it, but it helped. But I just felt so super accomplished, and there was a lot of relief. And I went and I got myself some food, and I ate and celebrated. And then the next day, I got the paperbacks for Saving Ruby King. So it's kind of like Chris. And I was like, wait, look. And then look, oh no. And then like the worst fashion decisions, I mean, it was the 90s. I feel like it can be forgiven, but a lot of stuff was like airbrushed. I had airbrushed denim things. And I'm ashamed, but it was the 90s.
The thing is, do you still wear them when you're doing your high kicks?
Girl, if I could, girl, I would split them pants in half if I tried it. Do you hear me? But just a rap. Nope. Girl, if I could get a leg into what I was able to wear at 17, that would be a triumph. I would just tape it on TikTok. Just look, I got in the leg of these jeans, and that's it.
Okay, but hear me out. If the pants split underneath, you could have airbrushed undies that say Netflix, Ferris Bueller reboot.
Or just come get, or you could have airbrush, just come get it, Aldous. Either way. Whatever you want to airbrush.
I mean, you could do the kick twice, I guess. Those are probably going to end up with different results.
I've been doing a kick a whole lot of times, if you feel me.
Hey now.
I just finished. I'm just letting y'all know, but that's cool though. Like, I'm fine. It's okay. Everything's fine. It's fine. We're fine.
I think for me, my moment, I think, was actually just yesterday. So like literally I'm out with like a writing group, and it was our first time getting together in 15 months. And this is the group where I finished writing my debut with them present. And so we're sitting around and we're talking, and I was like, oh yeah, my book is now on Goodreads and it should be posted like this fall with a cover and a pre-order link. And my friend was like, oh, it's already pre-order link available. I just bought it. And I was like, what? So the first few copies of my book have officially been sold, and I don't even know how to process that. But of course I came home and I told my family, and they're like freaking out right now. So it's like gonna be a real thing, guys. It's official. So it's very exciting.
Cherish, how about you? What's the last time you felt you shined?
Well, I was gonna ask Taj to tell us the title of her book.
It has changed many times, hasn't it? It's Savvy Sheldon Feels Good as Hell. It's an adult rom-com, and I'm so proud of this book. She's had a journey, Savvy has, and so this is going to be a lot of fun to introduce her to the world.
And when we post this video, we'll drop links to everybody's websites. So if you want to go find some of these other books or just learn more about folks, just check out the video description, and we'll make sure we have all those there.
Yep. No. The last time I shined, I feel like probably actually meeting the deadline to get something to my agent. I did that, and I did it on Wednesday. I can't read Swedish very well, and my calendar is in Swedish. Onsdag is Swedish for Wednesday. So I did that. I got it done. It felt great, and I felt like a weight lifted, and I felt shiny. You, Denise?
Mine was probably last week. My sophomore novel just went out for reviews on NetGalley, and I don't read my reviews, but somebody posted the first one on Instagram, and it was really positive. And this is like the book of my heart. It's a fat protagonist. There's so many elements of like her story and the love story that are so personal to me. And so though I don't plan to dive in and read the rest of the reviews, and I'm going to block Goodreads, that was like a really cool moment to just have that first one be so positive and like somebody who really got the book. And that was really exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, thanks everybody for playing our lightning round of questions. Felt like we got to know you a little bit better. Catherine shared a lot. And so that's what we do here at Brunch. So Cherish, I think you have our next element.
Do I? Basically what we do, sorry guys. I live in Sweden, and so I'm several hours ahead of you, and I've already been drinking. So bear with me. I'm the only one who drinks, so I'm better than Brunch.
Well, so I have my Dare medal from 1993 to uphold, so.
Sometimes I drink with you.
I'm drinking water.
Oh, sometimes Taj does drink. She has beautiful cocktails that she talks about.
And Taj holding up the 9, I think meant it's 9 p.m., not that you've had 9 drinks already.
No, it's 9 hours ahead of Charish it.
Okay.
I just had the one drink.
Okay. No judgment.
This is the part in our show where we usually make Denise come up with a romance plot on the fly. We give her suggestions. What do we usually give you? Like,
you know, if you can give me 2 professions and a setting.
Okay. Just throw them out like you're in a college cafeteria and the troupe who does improv has interrupted you. Come on, guys.
Set in space.
Set in space.
Set in space.
A ringmaster.
A ringmaster. And
He meets a bank robber.
Bank robber?
A
Oh,
space
geez, you
heist.
got it.
I'm here for this.
Me too. This is going to be awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
Ringleader.
All right. This is the story of Joe Toppering. Joe Toppering, early in their career, found a home at the circus. Literally. They were raised in this wonderful topsy-turvy world, rose through the ranks to become the top ringmaster, known worldwide for their ring mastery. And Joe Toppering had it all. There were movie deals. Joe Toppering had all the partners they could want, book endorsements, they had a shoe contract, and all the tigers, clowns, etc. circus folks loved them, and limited cotton candy. Joe Toppering was living simply their best life until tragedy struck. Joe Toppering's assistant forgot to deposit an important check, and so found himself at the bank in line, ready to deposit it. When shots rang out, windows broke, glass showered down, and everybody said, freeze. It was a series of beautiful fat women bank robbers. Joe Toppering was intrigued, scared, but also intrigued. In all his years in the circus, in all of the people he had met, he'd never had this moment of fear and interest in one particular bank robber. Now, what you don't know about this bank robber is they also grew up in the circus, but they had a very different trajectory. They wanted to be a ringmaster. It was her only goal, but there was sexism and racism at play. And Jane Bottom Ring could not make it all the way and was held at. And so this love for the circus turned into this resentment, this bitterness. And now we have this grizzled, former circus loving bank robber holding Joe Toppering hostage. Things clear out. It's just the two of them. And they go back to the vault for reasons. And when they're at the vault to get the money, it turns out that this is not a regular bank. This is actually a portal into outer space. And then the two are transported into space, but not just regular space, a circus in space. So now this bank robber who wanted to be a ringmaster, and the ringmaster who had everything except love, now have to run this circus in space. They must work together, learn from each other, and of course, fall in love. Under the big top of
Amazing.
the
I love that.
That was the weirdest grizzled story we have ever done.
When they started to
You
throw
made it
things out there, Denise, I thought they were gonna break you because I was like, I don't know. This one's kind of out there.
It worked so well.
But you did it.
Work. You made it work. I love you. That was awesome.
That was
And if somebody
amazing.
wants to write that, you have my full permission to take that idea and run with it, because I
Wow.
don't think that's going to fit in my catalog.
I mean, the crime ring of like fat thieves. I'm here for that.
Oh, and there's a whole series of the thieves, because one grew up in the circus, one grew up in Hollywood.
Ooh.
One is still in Hollywood, but is trying to break into like elite cooking. There's a whole series with the robbers. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm here for
Who became the ringmaster in the end, bottom or top?
What's that?
I said, who became the ringmaster in the end, the bottom or the top?
Oh, the bottom.
I mean, of course.
The bottom, because she was actually better at it. And he was going to step aside and be like, no, you do this. And she's like, no, we will compete gladiator style, because that's what you do at circuses on the moon. And she was the superior ringmaster, so she was on top.
That was brilliant. I liked it.
Out of
Like picturing a lion in an anti-gravity suit. That's like the same.
Like I said, if someone wants to write this, please do, and I will promote it on every channel I have, because I'm interested
No.
to see how that would turn out.
all of the grizzled stories that Denise puts out there are fair use, right?
No, not all, but this one. Yeah, this one's some of those other ones I want to hold on to. The boy band one, the grizzled old bartender.
Yes, yes.
So that is the other piece that we always try to close out with, is talking about what we're reading, but we thought we'd shift to, and some folks have already talked about their own books, so it's okay if you want to talk about that again. But speaking of releases, what's an upcoming book that you're really looking forward to? And we can say besides EBS.
I'm going to go with one of our contributors' books who's about to come out and say Eat Your Heart Out by Kelly DeVos. It's a zombie story that involves kids going to fat camp, and it sort of puts diet culture on its head. And it's coming out, I want to say the 27th, but I could be lying right now, but sometime in June. And I'm excited for it because I love zombie stories. So yes.
It looks so good.
It does.
I'm looking forward to Speak for Yourself by Lana Wood Johnson. That one looked fabulous. It came out this last Tuesday, and I haven't read it yet, but that is the next book on my to read list.
I am finishing up This Close to Okay by Lisa Cross Smith. But the other book that I'm looking forward to is The Ones Who Don't Say They Love You by Maurice Ruffin. So like I already pre-ordered that, but This Close to Okay was like so good. But I'm also looking forward to The Ones Who Don't Say They Love You. That's going to be, I can't wait for that one.
You go.
Some middle grade books. Much Ado About Baseball is Rajni LaRocca's next book, and love it. And then there's a book coming from Ali Malnenko, which is called Ghost Girl. It's a middle grade book. And there's a YA verse novel coming in the fall called Me Moth by Amber McBride, which I can't wait.
That's good. Yeah, for me, it's a picture book that one of my colleagues represents. It's called Fat Francis Discovers Possible. I don't know if they're going to change the title or anything, but it's supposed to come out next spring. And it stars a fat character who just loves their bodies. And especially for picture books, I think the only fat characters I've seen are usually like educational ones where they're like, you should eat healthy. So this is not that at all. This is about body positivity and that. So picture book, super excited about that.
I'm excited for two books. One is called We Are Family. It's by Andrea Williams and LeBron James. And it's this really cute middle grade book about kids playing basketball. And I'm also excited for The Fastest Way to Fall, which is by Denise Williams. I don't know if you've met her, but she's pretty cool.
There's no circuses in it, though. Cherish?
I've had my head kind of in the sand writing, and I don't know what's coming out or what's happening. So I'm kind of gleaning titles from you guys right now. Currently, I'm reading Tahira McCoy's book right now. The arc for that is incredible, and I'm enjoying it a lot. That's about it.
I am also reading Taj's book right now, the arc for that, the advanced reader copy. And one I'm looking forward to diving into that's next on my list is All the Feels by Olivia Dade, who is a romance writer who just does wonderful work. And just in general, I love her books, but has such great fat rep and great intersectionality rep and just steamy scenes, which I'm here for. So very excited to dive into the advanced copy of that one, which is out in October. Well, thanks for sharing everything. I think Cherish is going to take us out.
How am I going to do that? Let me pull up the schedule.
I think on the schedule, it just says goodbye. Cherish.
Goodbyes and reminders. And please buy Everybody Shines, which is coming out on Tuesday. Everybody show your copy again. Shiny, happy authors writing. Woo. Thank you guys so much for, trafficking in our nonsense. And thank you for sharing your stories and all of the wonderful things about you as authors and contributors to this really wonderful project. I mean, this is really heartwarming and lovely. And yeah, congratulations to all of you.
Thank you for having this.
Congratulations.
Thank you for
Yeah,
having
thank you
us.
for having
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, and other books.
Bye,
Huh?
everyone.
Yeah. Bye.